Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. In this video, my buddy Earl and I go deep into the wilderness with our CBXRs, and everything works out mostly okay. So, how far can you go on a CBXR? Let's find out.
Oh, the sun's coming out, nice.
So if you're like me and you like to ride one-wheels and you like to make videos, then you're faced with a choice every time you go out to ride. Should you take the camera and make it a filming day, or do you leave the camera at home and just focus on the ride? This is one day that I'm so glad I decided to bring the camera. The weather was just perfect, the leaves are starting to change colors, it was beautiful.
The big one on the right.
As I watch this video, I find myself reflecting quite a bit on the last year of my one-wheel journey. I've been riding one-wheels for about 3 years now, and the first 2 years of that was strictly on pavement. On the street, on bike trails, things like that.
Twisty, uh-oh. Full drop. Whoa!
And as much as I love my one-wheel and all the adventures I've been on and places it's taken me, I wasn't getting quite as much joy from my one-wheel as I had before. Looking back now, I think that what was missing is the sense of progression you get when you're working on a new skill. When I started riding trails about a year ago, I was presented with a whole new set of challenges.
Bit of a sketchy downhill there. It's not bad, but a little bit.
You can see exactly what I'm talking about in this footage here. Just look at all these roots.
Bigger than I thought.
When I started riding trails, it was like learning to ride my one-wheel all over again.
That was a leg burner. Woo.
Now don't get me wrong, I've ridden on my fair share of bumpy roads and rough asphalt. If you've ever done a ride in New York City, Brooklyn, or Queens, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And to be sure, learning how to maintain control and comfortably ride on difficult roads and surfaces is all part of the one-wheel learning and progression. But for me, riding on poorly maintained roads or difficult terrain was never a lot of fun. It was just something that I had to do, on occasion, in order to get where I was going.
I mean, you gotta stop here. Perfect.
All of that changed about a year ago when I met up with a group of local riders who rode pretty much exclusively trails. Having a group of riders to go out and explore with gave me the confidence to challenge new terrain, and it completely changed the way I experienced my one-wheel.
Whoa, what the heck? Nice. Oh yeah. Whoa! Oh yeah! Oh man, we definitely went the right way there, huh?
I think it's pretty easy to tell how much fun Earl and I are having in those last couple of clips. It's hard to overstate the pure joy and excitement that you get from riding on trails. I mean, that feeling when you hit a berm just right, or the way the ground seems to almost hug the tire when you're riding on some smooth dirt single track like we are here. I have to tell you, I used to think that fresh pavement was the pinnacle of the one-wheel experience, but I have never ridden pavement as smooth as dirt. On the face of it, that might seem like a ridiculous thing to say, because obviously there's roots and rocks and trees and branches and things. What I've come to realize after riding a few hundred miles on trails over this last year, though, is that when you're on pavement, there's 1,000 little shocks that are constantly happening through the tiniest little pebbles and imperfections in the surface. And what I've learned over the last year riding trails is that even though the surface might not be as smooth as a freshly paved asphalt surface, all of the parts are so much softer than they are on asphalt. So where every little pebble and bump gives you a jolt on asphalt, when you're riding off-road, everything's just a little bit soft. It's like getting a big hug from Mother Nature. Speaking of Mother Nature, look at this scenery. I mean, what an incredible way to spend a day on your one-wheel, surrounded by beautiful scenes and fresh air.
Go, go. Nice. Farm City. Whoa, that was a steep ramp.
The feeling I get riding through this type of terrain on this amazing electric device is just impossible to explain.
That was pretty sweet, right?
And getting to do it with friends makes it all the much sweeter. It's actually kind of cool that I'm on this ride with Earl. He probably doesn't realize this, but he's one of my oldest kind of one-wheel friends. Back in the day when I first got my one-wheel, and I was looking for places to go explore and ride. I posted up on the Facebook group asking if anyone could recommend someplace good for beginners. Earl, who lived in Queens at the time, recommended that I check out Flushing Meadow Corona Park. Whether you realize it or not, you probably know this park. It was the site of the 1964 World's Fair, has the famous Unisphere, that big metal model of the globe, and it's where the final scene in Men in Black took place. It's where they had been hiding the spaceship the whole time. Anyway, it was a fantastic place to ride, and some of my earliest one-wheel adventures took place there, thanks to Earl. Now, almost 3 years later, he's out in Suffolk County, and I'm getting to show him some of my favorite places to ride, like this trail right here. And here's a perfect example of why I love riding trails. Just look at these big, flowy lines, coming around a bank, going up into a hill, and coming back down off the other side. It's incredible. You just can't get this feeling on pavement.
Oh, yeah? Oh! Hello! Whoa! Did you see that? Whoa!
What you just saw there is a terrific example of both the challenge and the risk of trail riding. Obviously, when you're out on trails, you're pushing the one wheel harder than you are on pavement. And that means that you're riding closer to the edge, and you're going to probably fall more than you would if you were just cruising around on asphalt. Of course, the ground is a lot softer than asphalt, so those falls generally aren't going to hurt as much. Of course, like anything else, you get to make your own choices, and so that means you get to decide how much risk you want to take on. As I said in the beginning, I've been riding trails for a little more than a year now, and over that year I've gotten about 500 miles under my belt in the dirt. And I've had my fair share of falls in those 500 miles.
Fire ferns!
See what I mean?
I could have had. I couldn't decide left or right.
Yeah, just be careful with that twig. You want to try it?
Alright. Oh, great. Yo! Yo! Yes. Woo!
And that right there is why I love riding trails. Every time you go out, there's a new challenge to overcome.
Oh, my leg's on fire.
This is probably a good time to start giving you some backstory about this particular ride. So this is a pretty long ride. In the beginning, I anticipated it being about 14 miles long.
Ooh, no straight.
The previous weekend, I was out here with my buddies Russ and Dave, and we did a shorter route because Dave doesn't have a CBXR. Earl and I both do, but it's in the back of my head this whole time, and you're going to hear Dave's name soon.
These Leats are killing my battery, man. What's up?
I haven't ridden my motorcycle like this in a long time.
Yeah?
Very long time, yeah.
That's what you call foreshadowing.
Yeah, David was walking at this point, I'm pretty sure.
Here?
That was like, it was like, hit, recover, splat.
I think honestly, if we had more battery, you would have made that.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. I can definitely feel it. Oh, he's on a stock pack. You know, he's not on. He doesn't have a CBXR. He's just a light guy with a stock pack who overestimated what he could do. If we had just done the main loop, he would have been fine. He could have done 10-3, no problem. But he told me he had 14 in the tank, so we took some of the extra loops, and then I felt so bad. I was like, dude, I'm sorry. I figured out what I like. When it's straight and skinny like that, I don't like it at all. But when it's real skinny, when it goes, you know, left, right, then I enjoy it.
They might have missed that because that channel's pretty active at the time.
Yeah. Woo! That's a great shot of coming through the burn. My battery's done. Yep, it's still recording.
When we set out on this ride, based on the trail maps, we expected it to be about 14 miles. It ended up being closer to 16 though. And as it turns out, that was just a little bit too much.
Dude, I just hope you make it. If the second week in a row the person I take out here has to walk home. Oh no. All right, we've got like 1.3 miles left, and it's the curse of Rocky Point. Earl has gotten low battery pushback twice. We're hoping we can limp out of here and you won't have to carry the board. I'm nervous. We gotta make it. Come on. Oh no. Push back. Oh boy. Wait, do it again. I need the picture for the reload. Yeah. This is when we see if the forest is with us.
As you can see, Earl is still riding the Onewheel here, but he's walking it up hills to try to conserve battery, and he's had a power cycle a few times to get through the low battery pushback. But as they say, all good things must come to an end.
Desert. Yeah. That's an encouraging sign. Here we go.
If you need delivery service. All right, pro tip. My board died. We're almost done with the trail, like about half a mile left. But Dov said we would be able to make it.
You told me you'd be able to make it. I told you the mileage.
I'm recording this, so you know I'm right.
I told you the mileage.
In fairness to Earl, he did make it the 14 miles we expected.
Yo.
Unfortunately, we just need another mile and a half or so out of him.
Okay, day 34. Hour 17:36. I don't know where I am, but I found a strange man carrying a board.
We've run out of food.
But for some reason he won't let me ride it, even though it's full battery. He's just like, walk. Send help.
You can do it, Earl. Right across the street.
So even though I had to carry Earl's board for a half mile or so, he did have just enough power left to power the board on one more time to make it across the street to the parking area. If you made it this far in the video, thanks so much for watching. Hopefully I've inspired you to go out and ride some trails on your own, or maybe bring a camera and shoot a video next time. Anyway, hope to see you out there. As always, keep riding. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like, leave a comment, let me know that you made it to the end. I love riding Onewheels and EUCs and making videos to share my adventures. If you'd like to see more like this, consider subscribing to the channel. As always, have a great day and keep riding.